Welding. Welding is defined as a joining process where we can join two or more metallic work pieces with the application of heat and with or without application of pressure. The product obtained after welding is known as weldment, and the point or edge where two or more work pieces are joined together is known as welding joints. So in this video, we are going to learn about basic concepts of welding joints and different types of welding joints. Hello everyone, welcome to Course Creel. So let's start the discussion on another important topic of welding. It is known as welding joints. So welding joints are defined as a point or edge where two or more work pieces are joined together with the application of heat and with or without application of pressure. If we want to join two work pieces, so we need a heat source, and heat is generated with the help of heat source, and that heat penetrates the full depth of the joint or a particular depth of the joint to join two or more work pieces. So this is how we can define a particular welding joint. The product obtained after welding is known as weldment, and the point or edge where we are joining two or more work pieces are known as welding joints. Welding joints are mainly depends on the thickness of material which is to be joined as well as weldment material. Now let's see different types of welding joints. So there are 5 types of welding joints we have to learn here. These joints are butt joint, lap joint, corner joint, T-joint and edge joint. The joint or the welding joint is a point where two or more work pieces are joined together. It can be a point or it can be an edge where we are joining two or more work pieces with the help of heat and with or without application of pressure. As we know, the joints depends on the thickness of material which is to be joined and the weldment material. So according to thickness of the material and type of material, we choose a particular type of welding. It can be gas welding, it can be arc welding or another type of welding with a particular type of joint. So here we are going to discuss different types of welding joints. So let's discuss different types of welding joints one by one. So I'm going to start with butt joint. So butt joint, here you can see the diagram. This is representing butt joint. So the butt joint we can define when two parts or two work pieces lie on a same plane and placed side by side, and joint is formed by placing end to end together. So this particular type of joint is defined as butt joint. So here you can see two work pieces or two parts. This is first work piece, this is second work piece. These two work pieces are lying in the same plane. Suppose it is lying in the horizontal plane and it should place side by side. So it is placing side by side. We are placing here side by side, and this yellow part is defining the welding joint. So here this joint is formed by placing end to end these two work pieces together. So this particular type of joint is defined as butt joint. And to form a butt joint, or here if we want a butt joint for two work pieces, so we have to choose a particular type of welding. So the welding, whatever welding we can prefer here, it can be arc welding, it can be gas welding, and it will depends on the thickness of the material as well as it will depends on the weldment material, or it will also depends on the application of that particular job. So butt joint we can define when two parts lie on the same plane and placed side by side, and joint is formed by placing end to end together. So it is defined as butt joint. Now here you can see another diagram. So this is representing the 2D view of butt joint. So here we have first workpiece and this is the second workpiece. So it is lying on the same plane, and here you can see these are the corners and this is the edge. So here butt joint we can define in point form also, or it can define on a particular edge also. So welding joint we can define where the point or a particular edge where two or more work pieces are joined together. So this is butt joint. This is the explanation of butt joint. Now the second type of joint is edge joint. So here you can see the diagram of edge joint. Here edge joint we can define when edges of the two parts are joined together. When two parts are placed parallel and adjacent to each other. Here you can see this is the first workpiece, this is the second workpiece, and these workpieces are placed parallel and adjacent to each other. And here this particular part you can see this is defining the welding, or this is defining the welding joint. So here the edges of two parts are joined together when it is placed parallel and adjacent to each other. So it is defined as edge joint. And to form an edge joint, we can use a particular type of welding which is completely based on application and material of the weldment. Here you can see the 2D view of edge joint. So these two workpieces are placed in parallel position and adjacent to each other. So here this particular line will be welded, and here we will form a welding joint. So it can be this or it can be this also. So this type of joint is defined as edge joint. Now the next type of joint is lap joint. So here you can see this particular diagram which is defining lap joint. So in welding, when one part is placed over another part and then joined together with the help of edges. So this particular type of joint is known as lap joint. It is used when thickness are different. And here we can define lap joint. It may be one-sided or two-sided. So lap joint is what? Lap joint when one part is placed over another part and then we are doing joining, or then we are doing welding on the edges. So it is known as lap joint, and it may be one-sided. So here you can see this is the joint. So this is one-sided joint, and here you can see another yellow part. So this is two-way joint or two-sided joint. So if we are doing joining at one side only, so it is one-sided lap joint, or if we are doing joining on both the side or both the edges, so it is two-sided lap joint. And this particular joint is used when thicknesses are different. You can see your lap joint. So you can see better here. So this is the first workpiece, this is the second workpiece, and these two workpieces are placed over one part over another part, and here we can join with the help of edges. So if we are joining with the help of one edge, so it is the one-sided lap joint, and if we are joining here also, so this is two-sided lap joint. So this is defined as lap joint. Now let's see another type of joint. It is called T-joint. So here, as per the name, the two parts should place in the shape of T. So T-joints we can define when two parts are placed right angle to each other and one part should lie at the center of the other. So it should look like a letter T. So here this is the first workpiece, this is the second workpiece, and these two workpieces we will join with the help of edges, welding on the edges. But one workpiece should be perpendicular or right angle to each another workpiece, and it should lie, one workpiece should lie at the center of the other. So its shape look like a T letter. So this particular type of joint is defined as T joint. Here you can see another shape of the T joint. So here we have first workpiece, we have second workpiece. So these two workpieces will be right angle to each other. One workpiece will be in center, and here we will join. So these edges will be joined with the help of particular type of welding as per the application and on the basis of material which is to be joined. Now let's discuss another type of joints. It is corner joint. So the corner joint we can define with the shape of joint, and that shape of joint should be L shape. And the joint is formed by placing the corner of the part at right angle. So here we have two workpieces. This is first workpiece, this is second workpiece, and we are placing these two workpieces right angle to each other, or the corner or the edges of the workpieces, or these two workpieces should right angle to each other, and it should join with the edges or with the help of corners, and the shape of these two workpieces after welding will be in the form of L shape. So this particular type of joint we are defining as the corner joint. So here the corner of two workpieces are in joint. That is why it is called corner joint. And to form a corner joint, we can use a particular type of welding which is based on application and the material which we are using to join. There are various types of butt joint which we can use for different types of application, and these types are square butt weld, V groove butt weld, U groove butt weld, J groove, flare V groove, flare bevel groove, etc. So there are different types of butt weld we can use which is based on application. If we want to define the edge joint, so it can be corner flange, edge flange, etc. If we want to define lap joint, different types of lap joint. So the lap joint can be, it can be corner flange, it can be edge flange, it can be flare bevel, or it can be J groove. So different types of lap joint we can use with the help of, or which is based on application. Now let's come to the T joint, different types of T joints. So it can be fillet weld, it can be plug weld, it can be slot weld, bevel groove weld, J groove, flare bevel groove, etc. Now let's come to the corner joint. So corner joint can also be fillet weld corner joint, spot weld, V groove, J groove, U groove, etc. So these types of joints we can use as per the application. So here you can see different types of joints which is used in welding, and these joints can be butt joint, lap joint, corner joint, T joints, edge joint. So here one by one you can see different types of joints like square joint, closed square, single bevel, single J, double bevel, double J, single V, single U, double V, double U, flange, T, flare. So these types of joints you can see which is used as per the application, or which is used on the basis of different types of welding and welding material. If we want to join two work pieces, so the heat is generated in the welding, it penetrates the full depth of the joint. And if we have greater thickness of the work pieces, so it is not possible to penetrate the heat up to last corner of the joint. So we need to do some modification in the job or metal part, so heat would be able to penetrate the complete depth. You can see here there are two work pieces. This is the first work piece, this is the second work piece, and here you can see the V groove which is used to join two work pieces. Suppose here if we are using butt joint, so this particular work piece and this particular work piece will be in the same plane, and the edges will be joined, and the heat will be penetrate till the full depth of this particular work piece. If we have greater thickness, and if we have a particular type of arrangement to weld here, it can be electrode, it can be wire, it can be gas welding, it can be arc welding. And if we want to join these two work pieces, so the heat generated in the welding, it should penetrate from this point to this point till full depth of the joint. We have greater thickness here. If in that case it is not possible to penetrate the heat from this point to this point, from first corner to the last corner of the joint. And if this particular condition is happening, in that case we will get lots of welding defects. This particular joint will come with many welding defects like porosity, cracks, etc. So here we need some modification in this job or metal part, so we would be able to penetrate the heat till this end or till complete depth. So here in place of one V groove, we can use double V groove or double V joint. So here it is divided, it will divide in two parts. So half part will be one V groove and half part will be another V groove. So here we can use double V groove joint to form a proper welding or to join these two material in proper manner with the help of particular type of welding. So here we are modifying one V groove into double V groove or double V joints. So for very thick plates, the welding should form both sides. Here this is first side, this is the second side. So first we need to weld at this particular part, and then we need to weld at this particular part. So it will provide more strength to the weld, or it will provide more strength to the weldment. Similar concept we can apply on U groove or single U joint also. Here you can see the U shape. Suppose if the heat is not going to penetrate till complete depth, and if we are not able to weld this particular joint properly, so we will modify this single U groove into double U groove for better strength or to reduce the welding defect. This particular type of modification we need when the machining is difficult, when the welding is difficult, and it will have less filler material also. Here in this U groove, we will use, or we have to use a greater or more amount of welding material. But if we are using this double U groove, so we will, here we need to use less filler material also. So this is another advantage of using double U groove. So the double U groove and double V groove are the better option for the welding when we need more strength or when we want to penetrate the heat till every single point of the weldment. During welding, we need to follow some precautions also apart from the welding gears. When we are welding, we should use welding gears to protect our eyes or to protect our body from the welding gases and the welding flame. But we need to follow some more precautions also in terms of welding materials or the material which has to be joined. So the material which we are going to join and the material are joined together. So the surfaces which are joined together is called interface surfaces. So the interface surfaces should be clean because the impurities like oil, dirt, etc. would interface with the metal during welding, which can weaken the joint. So this is one precaution we need to prefer when we are joining two materials. We can use organic solvent. That organic solvent can be used for cleaning the surface because it can completely evaporate after use. And this particular organic solvent can clean the impurities like oil and dirt over the interface surfaces. On external surfaces of the plate, usually oxide presents which interface with the proper fusing, and it can be completely eliminated by using flux. Flux can react with the oxide and it will form low density slag which can float on the top of the molten metal, and it protects it from the further oxidation. That slag can be separated after the welding process. Slag is a type of impurity which come after or which appear after the welding, and it can be separated after the welding process. And the flux which we are using, that flux selection based on the type of parent metal which is to be welded. If we are using non-ferrous material like aluminium and copper, so it requires flux. But if we are using mild steel, so it will not require, it do not require any type of flux. And the filler material which we are using for the welding purpose, the filler material fill the gap during the welding, and the composition of the filler material should be same as the base metal which is to be joined or which is being joined together. So this is about the welding joint. Hope this information is beneficial for you. Hope all the concepts you are getting in better manner. So this is all about the welding joints and some basic concepts which is related to welding joints. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you like the video, press the like button, and if you have not subscribed the channel, subscribe the channel, press the bell icon and select all so you will get all the notifications of the channel and you can share this video with your friends and your known people. Thank you so much. See you in next video.